Hey, welcome back to Livin MN Outdoors. I'm Daniel, and boy am I sick and tired of all of this heat. Oh yeah, and thanks for tuning in to this week's fishing report. Like I said, guys, this heat wave has been awfully miserable. And it's got me thinking about ice fishing season, and actually a lot of the resorts and guides are starting to open up their books for ice fishing season, so make sure you're reserving your sleeper houses and your cabins for that early ice season. Once again, guys, want to give a huge shout out to Bullseye Quick Load Boat Guides for sponsoring this week's fishing report. Really appreciate them. If you're having any troubles with loading your boat, getting it to center on your trailer, Bullseye Quick Load Boat Guides is exactly what you need. Go over to their website, find out if it's compatible with your trailer, give them a call. You can use our promo code LIVIN26 for free shipping through the month of August. Awesome product, takes a lot of stress out of loading your boat. Highly recommend them, so go ahead, check them out. We'll leave all their information down in the description. And with that being said, let's dive into this week's fishing report. All right, this week we are going to start on Leech Lake. The walleye bite has started to improve out on Leech Lake. The bug hatches are over for the most part. The walleye bite is starting to pick up. There are two main areas you can target walleyes right now out on the bigger main lake sand flats, especially those that are growing some carragrass in that 18 to 22 foot of water. Seems to be holding a decent amount of walleyes right now, and fishing those with a jig and a crawler or a drop shot and a crawler seems to be working really well. Now, if you're in a little bit of that thicker carragrass out there, using a drop shot works a little bit better. It keeps your bait up and out of those weeds a little bit, where the jig tends to get a little bit covered. And then the second area you can target those fish is in the sand to weed transitions in that 8 to 13 foot of water. Same techniques, a jig and a crawler or a drop shot and a crawler is working best right now. Now, as far as the panfish bite, the crappie bite has been pretty tough lately. They are getting some bluegills in that 5 to 9 foot of water in the weeds, in Sucker Bay, Boy Bay, Shingobe Bay. Those are some good areas to start looking for those bluegills, and they have been getting some really big bluegills lately. Now, the smallmouth bass bite out on Leech, really underrated bite, I believe. You can find those in a couple different areas. You can find those out on the main lake rock piles in that 12 to 24 foot of water. Otherwise, quite a few big smallmouth have been showing up on sand flats with sporadic big boulders. Now, the smallmouth tend to be hanging right around those big boulders on those sand flats. In throwing a Ned rig or a drop shot is working best, although you can get them to bite on a jerk bait or a tube as well. Now, as far as the muskie bite goes, the water temps are extremely high right now. I would strongly encourage you to hold off on fishing muskies right now. I'll still give you a report and you can make your own decision there, but just know I would encourage you to hold off on that for right now until the water temps start to cool. The majority of the muskies that are being found right now are being found on the shallow rocks, casting bucktails, jerk baits, even some topwater action is working for those. And then the guys with the live scope are out over the deep water like usual, the Paris Trench and some of the other deeper basins, scoping those fish and throwing big rubber baits or glide baits at them. But especially those deep water fish, really urge you to lay off of those right now, if not altogether lay off of the muskie fishing. Now, as far as the pike bite goes, I've been having some people asking for some pike reports out on Leech Lake. The bite has actually been pretty decent. A lot of guys fishing them with sucker minnows. I know sucker minnows can be hard to find, but I do know some of the bait shops around Leech Lake do have some suckers right now. They're putting those under a bobber and fishing those weed lines in that 6 to 12 foot of water. I know over on the back side of Bear Island, kind of in the narrows, they're having some really good luck catching some big pike. But just like the muskies, be careful with those pike when the water is this warm. It's really hard on them, so just take good care of that resource. Now, if you're looking to hire a guide up in the Leech Lake area, we highly recommend Parker from Davis's Guide Service. He is pretty booked up this coming week, but the rest of the season he does have some openings. So go ahead, give him a call, try and get something lined up, and I guarantee you will have a blast in the boat with Parker. So if you're looking to hire a guide up on Leech Lake or the surrounding area, go ahead and call Parker from Davis's Guide Service. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up on Leech Lake, Acorn Hill Resort is located on beautiful Traders Bay, located really close to some really good fishing waters over there. They have cabins, campsites, seasonal sites, full bar and restaurant, indoor swimming pool, tons of activities for kids and adults. So if you're looking to get up to Leech Lake, go ahead and call Kyle from Acorn Hill Resort. All right, moving over to Lake Winnie. The walleye bite on Winnie has slowed down some. There are kind of two areas you can search for those fish, but it seems like one day they're there, the next day they're gone. The first one being the main lake humps, that 16 to 24 foot of water, using a slip bobber, a drop shot, or pulling some bottom bouncers with a leech or a fathead seems to be working best. The lake is really full of like 3 and 4 inch perch right now, so if you put on a night crawler, the perch swarm that, and it's hard to get bites from anything other than them. Now, the second area is shoreline weed lines in that 8 to 13 foot of water. There's not a ton of fish up there, but there are some really good pockets of fish up in there. So you got to really look for the spot on the spot along the shorelines there. So you're going to have to rely on your electronics to help you find those fish, and then pull spinners with a fathead or a medium to large leech is working best for those. Now, as far as the perch bite goes, the perch bite has slowed down some. I know over around Third River and Sugar, they had been getting some up in the shallow weeds, like 5 to 9 foot, but that has slowed down some. I'm sure they haven't gone too far from there, so if you were going to look, might not be a bad area to start. Now, as far as the panfish bite goes, primarily over in Cutfoot, they're doing really well on bluegills, anywhere from that 4 to 9 foot of water along the pencil reeds. And then the crappies are just outside of those pencil reeds on the adjacent weed lines, the outside of the weed lines, and anywhere from like 10 to 18 foot of water. Not really a specific depth, but you got to be right on that outside edge of those weed lines, and you're probably going to catch some really nice crappies over in Cutfoot. Now, for the bluegills, slip bobber with a small panfish leech or a chunk of a crawler. The crappies, a jig in a minnow style plastic or a fathead is working. Otherwise, if you can get a spinner down deep enough along that weed line, put on a fathead and you'll probably catch some on spinners as well. Now, as far as the muskie bite goes, a lot of the muskie guys are fishing Tamarack Point and the shallow rock piles on the north end, throwing black bucktails or gold bucktails seem to be working. Don't have a ton of information on them, but that seems to be kind of the sweet spot that those guys are targeting right now. Now, if you're looking to hire a guide up on Lake Winnie, highly recommend Scott from zupsguideservice. He is the premier walleye guide up on Lake Winnie. He does still have some availability yet this summer, so go ahead, give him a call, try and get something lined up with your vacation, and have a blast out on Lake Winnie. I also want to mention this winter, Scott, he will be placing 5 sleeper ice castles out on Winnie. So if you want to get out this ice season and stay in an awesome ice house, go ahead and give Scott a call, get in on some of that walleye, perch, eel pout action out on Winnie, and have yourself a blast. Now, if you're looking for a place to stay up on Lake Winnie, we're partnered up with Chad from the Pines Resort. He does have some cabins available, campsites, seasonal sites, full bar and restaurant, live bait, rental boats, the whole works. So if you're looking to get up to Lake Winnie, go ahead and call Chad from the Pines Resort. All right, moving down to Mille Lacs Lake. The walleye bite out on Mille Lacs Lake has been pretty steady all season long. There is a pretty heavy bug hatch going on right now out on the mud especially, but you still can catch some walleyes. Now, when you're out there, especially those last 2 hours of the day, the bug hatches are going to be really bad. You're going to see it on your fish finders. So if you can locate some areas that aren't quite so heavily populated with those bugs right now, is definitely going to up your chances of getting in on those fish. But you will see those walleye suspended up off bottom, chasing those bugs around. And the best ways to catch them out there right now is a slip bobber with a large to jumbo leech. Now, also out there on the deep mud, you're going to get some jumbo perch. Now, if you fish in a little bit shallower on that mud, that 22 to 26 foot of water, you might also get some smallmouth mixed in too. Been kind of a good mixed bag of perch, smallmouth, and walleyes in that 22 to 26 foot of water on that mud and rock transition. Now, some other areas you can find walleyes, the first couple hours in the morning, last couple hours in the evening, those rock piles in that I'd say 14 to 19 foot of water. They're pulling up on those rocks. You can pitch around a jig with 3/4 of a crawler or a jig and a leech. Otherwise, floating a slip bobber with a leech will work as well. Now, as far as the smallmouth bass bite goes, it has picked back up a little bit. Not as good as it was earlier on this season. Some absolute giants are still being caught. They seem to be out a little bit deeper with the warm temps. I believe the water temps are like 79 to 84 degrees right now, so it's pushed those fish out a little bit deeper. Anywhere from that 10 to 26 foot of water, with the bigger ones seeming to be out a little bit deeper and the smaller ones in a little shallower. Fishing those with a drop shot is working extremely well. Also, a Ned rig is working as well. Now, if you're looking to hire a guide up on Mille Lacs Lake or the surrounding areas, we recommend Joe from Keeper's Guide Service. Whether you want to fish bass or walleye out on Mille Lacs, or panfish, walleye, whatever it might be on some of the other local area lakes, go ahead and call Joe from Keeper's Guide Service. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's fishing report. Want to give a huge shout out to Bullseye Quick Load Boat Guides for sponsoring this week's fishing report. If you guys are having trouble getting your boat to center on your trailer, go ahead, check out their website, give them a call, see if their guides are compatible with your trailer, and quit worrying when it comes time to load your boat the next time you're out. Now, just want to remind you guys, when you make it out fishing, take some pictures, send them to us over at our Gmail or on Facebook Messenger, and we will try our best to feature you in next week's fishing report. Remember, be kind at the boat ramp, don't crowd your neighbor, and most importantly, don't forget to get on out there and get living.